Okay, cool. Today we're going to be making some headphones in onshape. So, start with a new document. First thing I'm going to do is look at some reference images. And let's see how I want to design it. Here's a pretty basic one. I might go with something like that. Any of these ones work. Let's see here. Yeah, I think I'm going to use like this as my base image. Actually, I like these. These are the Apple ones. They're super expensive, but they look pretty cool. Um, so what I'm gonna do first in my document is create the whatever this part is called, the neck or whatever. So I'm gonna start with the front plane, be normal too, and a new sketch. And going back, okay, so that's a pretty steep angle. You know, I should probably import this picture in. That'd be useful. First, there we go. That makes it much easier to copy. I'm not going to do an exact copy of it, but first thing I'm using is the 3-point arc tool to make the main bridge part. And that looks pretty good. I think that's all I'm going to do in this sketch plane. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is actually what I'm going to do is use the offset plane tool and offset this plane to be the same height as the dots I made it at. You might not have to do this. This is because the image I imported was not center aligned. Okay, cool. So you can see here it's pretty close to matching. Then I'm going to do a new sketch on the sketch I just made, and top view. Trying to figure out which circle is the one I made. So it's this one. So top view. And actually, I'm going to make mine an ellipse, not a circle. No, actually, let's start with a circle, and then we'll see what I want to do with it. So I'm going to make it a circle, but then I'm also going to make the sides flat, like that. To make sure it's parallel, I'm going to draw these extra lines to help me. Something's not lined up properly. Okay. Yeah, that's gonna be... Okay. Then, since I want both of these, actually I don't need to do that. So I'm gonna press down on the sketch. Then, I'm gonna use the sweep tool. At this point, I think you already learned how to use this tool. If not, watch the cup tutorial video, which explains more in depth. So, first thing, you choose the main base of it, and for the sweep path, you use this arc line that we made. And it basically what it does is, instead of doing an extrusion, which is like a straight upwards, sweep basically follows the path that you drew of the base. And I like that actually. Looks pretty good. Actually, what I'm gonna do is extrude this a bit more because I want it to be a bit. I don't know. I think that looks pretty cool looking. Might just also see if I can round this. Okay, cool. Next thing I'm going to do is make some of those tiny little speaker holes. This picture is pretty low quality, but there's like a mesh grid on the top, which I want to add. So I'm going to make another offset plane, change the height to be above everything. Press done. New sketch. And be normal too. And I'm just going to draw a really small circle here. And then I'm going to press the linear pattern tool. If it doesn't look like this, you might be on the circular pattern one. So press the down arrow to get linear pattern. Then you're going to select the circle you want. Change the parameters. I'm going to change it to like 5 this way. Change the height difference to a much smaller amount. Change this to be much more compressed. I'm going to change this to like, instead of 3, let me do it to like 20 maybe. Oh, that was much less than I thought it would be. Let's go 70. You can see, instead of it showing every single dot, it's kind of just shows the beginning part and then the end. I don't need 50. I'm gonna do. Let's just go 50. Yep. You'll see why and how I chose that many dots in just a second. Okay, so you see all those dots there. What I'm going to do now is do extrusion and select sketch 3 and do a remove, and let's see how that looks. It might take a minute for it to render. Oh, it finished. Let's see. And I'm going to drag this all the way down the bottom. So I'm just going to press OK. The main thing I'm noticing that I don't like is that because this is a curved surface and I was trying to do something that's supposed to be a linear pattern, it kind of messes up on a curved surface. So you can see how this area is more stretched out than the area on the top. And it also looks really bad because like the outer edge also has these ridges, where the top I think looks pretty cool, even at different angles. So I'm going to do a few things to fix my mistakes. Okay. One, I could just change sketch 3. That's the easiest option. I think I'm going to do that. For me, it's just going to be easier if I just delete sketch 3 and redo it. So, new sketch. And this time I'm going to be careful not to put any circles near the edge. So I'm going to do a circle starting at, like, let's see, right there. And these circles are actually much smaller than the other one. You can see I'm just changing the parameters of my how far it goes. And I think that will look a bit much better. So extrude, select sketch 3, and do a remove. Then drag this down. And that's it. I think looks pretty decent. You might want to do even smaller circles and meshes if you're going with this design. Of course, you don't have to go with this design. That's just the one I chose. If you went with a different one, such as this one, don't have any sort of holes like this at all. However, you could also implement a similar idea in like the foam padding, but it's up to you. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is make like the arms of the headphone. I believe that's what they're called. I'm not exactly sure. So go to the bottom and new sketch. I'm going to select this and select this. And let's see if it just lets me offset these. Does not. That's okay. So I'm going to offset them individually. Okay, so I'm just going to look at this value and remember it's 0.39. Then same thing on the other side. Zero 0.39. Enter. Then I'm going to extrude both of those arm parts. That is interesting that they're at an angle. I have no clue why this is at an angle, besides the fact that maybe when I was making these arcs, they were not straight perfectly. That's probably the answer. So I'm just going to skip that step, since when I made, I guess, this plane. Oh, it's pretty obvious from this picture, actually. When I made this arc, both of these sides were not symmetrical. So you can see here how this side might look flat, but this side does not look flat. So yeah. What will I do? What I'm going to do is just skip that step because I don't feel like fixing it. Especially because that would extend the video time, and I don't really have time to record another video. So I'm just going to just move on and change a bit of this perspective so it looks like there's nothing strange about this. So I was just making a new plane there. View normal too. And I'm going to do a new sketch. And let's just make the headphones now. So I'm going to do an ellipse. and I did a 3-point ellipse, which you first choose your center point, so I'm going to choose it around here. Oh. And then you choose your second point, which will be either your length or width. Then you choose how wide you want it to be. That looks pretty cool. Good. Press that. Then I'm going to extrude it. And I'm going to do symmetric. Ooh. And that looks pretty good, actually. Now for the other side, what I'm going to do is use the mirror tool. This is the mirror tool. And I want to mirror this. And across this. See what happens. I want to make sure if this will work or not, because I think I did something wrong. Okay. If you're seeing something like this, then you may have made the same mistake as me. Here's what I realized. When I made this second extrude, I pressed add instead of new. I want this to be a separate item, not connected to this arm. Second thing is I need to make a new plane that's roughly in the middle of these two. Luckily, there's these dots here, which help me figure out exactly where I want to put my plane. So we're going to do another offset. Where's the offset button? Offset button. New. And I'm going to push this back to be the center of the headphones, because I did not make mine center originally. So I need to move mine so it matches up with this dot. Right now, the easiest method is just do a guessing check sort of thing. What I should have been doing is like using measuring tool in the sketch plane, but I didn't think of that until right now. But whatever. Cool. So now I have this other plane that when I use this mirror tool and mirror this entity against this mirror plane, it should just reverse. And I want to make it a new object instead of an add object. Cool. You can see that I was a little bit off here, where this part's sticking out slightly. I can easily fix that by offsetting, moving this plane, I think. So like what would happen if I made this 0.9? Okay, I wanted it to go the other way, 0.85. And okay, I was actually wrong. So 0.9. So close. Perfect. And I mean, technically, you're done at this step. I'm gonna just hide it so it looks better. Yeah, I mean, you could say you're done at this step, but there's lots of things you can add. Um, One thing I would add is adding some logo or something of your own. Second thing is some padding, maybe. You could also add some buttons to the bottom of the headphones, or like a charging port, headphone jack. So, I'm not going to show any of that because by now you guys all know how to do that, but you're going to like have maybe an additional 20 minutes to customize and finish making your headphones. And after this, I think we will be doing another design activity. So, let me know how you enjoyed this type of activity.